Hey guys, Eagle here, and today I wanted to show you my setup for Death Breath farming in Season 17, and I'm doing this with Chantodos Archon build and Tal-Rasha's 5 pieces with a Ring of Royal Grandeur in the cube, and then the 2 pieces of Sages set stuffed in here. So the way the build works is you stack your Chantodos up to 20, then you stack your Tal-Rashas to 4 stacks, jump into Archon and deal insane amounts of damage for the first, what's it, 8 seconds. And after that you probably have accumulated enough Archon stacks to still deal enough damage for T16 to clear. The build itself is very squishy. That's the reason I'm using this combo right here. I'm using Halo of Karini for 80% damage reduction and an esoteric alteration, although you could probably swap both of these out if your build is tanky enough for T16, but for me this worked the best, and you don't, like, I don't really die. I proc sometimes but I never die. Coming to gear, we are wearing 5 pieces of Tal-Rasha, including the head, the amulet, the the chest, the belt and the pants, and together with the Ring of Royal Grandeur, as I said, in the cube. This gives us the 6-piece bonus of Tal-Rashas. Then we are wearing the gloves and the boots of the Sages set, which gives us the Death Breath drop because of the Ring of Royal Grandeur in the cube. Then I'm wearing the Mantle of Channeling, purely for damage reduction while outside of Archon. As you can see, Arcane Torrent reduces the damage taken by 25%. You could swap these out for pretty much anything you want. You could put a corruption in there for some pickup radius or something, if you have them. You could put the homing pads there. You could put what's they called, cauldrons of the Skeleton King or something, which give you, wait, nope, that's the way. Maybe I find them right here. No, then I probably don't have them. You could put the, maybe have them here, like these. Whenever we receive fatal damage, 25% chance to not die. Just put something here for stats. And if you have a good set shoulder, like I have a Primal Ancient VS shoulder, which I had there for majority of the time, you can also put that there. Also, you need a Nemesis Braces, of course, to spawn the elites on the pylon. You need an Obsidian Ring on the Zodiac for reducing the cooldown of Archon. And whatever missed, of course you need the Chantodos set for damage. I'll put a link in the description leading to D3 Planner, where you can see the build with optimal rolls. As a gems, I'm using Esoteric Alteration, as already said, for huge damage reduction. I'm using Gorgo of Swiftness for cooldown and attack speed, and I'm using Stone of Vengeance, because why am I using a Stone of Vengeance? Question mark. You'd use a Bane of the Trapped, of course, because you're not gonna proc huge amount of Stone of Vengeance, because this build actually is a melee build, because like 90% of your damage come from the Chantodos set. In the cube I'm using Ingium. Of course, for cooldown reduction I'm using the Fazulis Improbable Chain to get 50 Archon stacks instantly, and I'm using the Ring of Royal Grandeur, as I mentioned before. Now, as you could see in the gameplay, which will run, so the way you get the build to work is you stack your Chantodos up to 20. You'll see the stacks writing right here. Then you'll use these 2 abilities and you'll jump into Archon, damage something, and it will give you the 4th stack. And that's pretty much the way you deal a huge amount of damage. And if you kill like 15 or 20 enemies within these 8 seconds of Tal-Rashas, you'll actually have enough damage to sustain like you'll have enough damage to kill stuff on T16 still. We didn't go over the skills. I'm using Arcane Torrent Static Discharge. I'm for 1 to get the lightning proc on Tal-Rashas, and 2 to proc my Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. Then I'm using Storm Armor to proc Halo of Carini and to also get 25% movement speed with the Scramble rune. Then I'm using Frost Nova Frozen Mist purely for the cold proc on Tal-Rashas. I'm using Explosive Blast Short Fuse for the fire proc, and you can also stack Chantodos and reduce cooldown of Archon, because it will proc Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, and it also counts as a arcane power spender. Oh, it's just an attack, so it also counts as an attack for Chantodos. Then I'm using Wormhole for just mobility outside of Archon. I'm using Arcane with the teleport rune to have mobility inside of Archon as well. I wouldn't recommend any other rune because this is just great for speed farming, and any other of these runes do not have a teleport. As passives, we're using Unstable Anomaly, because like sometimes you will proc, because this build is actually really squishy. And you don't have Archon stacks outside of Archon, because you're not using the Swarmy. What you could do is swap out the chain, the belt, for the Swarmy. Then you'll have attack speed and some damage and some toughness outside of Archon. But once you jump into Archon, you're purely reliant on Tal-Rashas. So I'd say like the Swarmy is the more snowball combo, because like you're stacking the Archon stacks, and if you're getting into Archon fast enough, you have like double Archon. But the problem is you'll have A, ramp up time, and B, if you do not get like this snowball running, the rift is going to be very hard. So that's why I'm sticking to the Fazula's Improbable Chain. Then we're using Evocation, of course, for cooldown reduction. We're using Illusionist for 30% movement speed mainly, and sometimes it will reset the teleport cooldown. And we're using Audacity for just pure 1.3 damage multiplier for enemies within 15 yards. And pretty much this is always going to be up, because Chantodos wave is actually really small. So everything you hit by Chantodos pretty much will be under the effect of Audacity. So, did I cover everything? As I said, I'll put a link to D3 Planner in the description. And now we'll just do a test run with 800 Paragon. Is that right? No, wait. That should be right. That should be 800 Paragon used. We're gonna do a T16 Rift. And in the end I'll put some rift clears as well, so you can see what this build is actually capable of. And in the beginning I'll always start with getting 20 stacks without dying, hopefully. I proc, that's bad. Well, and now you just teleport until you get a elite pack, and you'll snap that down. And as you saw, there just was it 6 or 8, something like this, 6 or 8 death breath by dropping, and you'll get to the next elite, and you kill it, another 6 death breath. Woo hoo hoo, that was close. So, and I died. Actually, that's probably because I don't have the Paragon into vid. Like when I had my 1800 Paragon equipped, 1700, I put a lot of them into vid, because like as you saw, toughness issues. But you can also just tune down the difficulty to Torment 15, will be a lot faster, and you won't actually have a, like you won't notice the lesser death breath actually dropping. As you can see, I didn't stack my Chantodos before jumping into that Archon, because I panicked a little. just like this, and you can see the damage hugely falling off. I'm still killing stuff, but it's actually not that fast. So I'm just gonna run down here, get like 15-20 stacks of Chantodos, which is like a minimum, I'd say. Like get 15 stacks at least. If you can, get 20 all the time. It just makes so much more damage. Like the way you can look at it is 20 stacks will deal double the damage than 10 stacks will, and 15 stacks will just be like 50% damage increase, because it's a separate multiplier pretty much. And it's like the 2 seconds or something you'll stack for those 5 stacks of Chantodos are just not worth skipping to get into Archon quicker. You'll lose so much DPS. And now you can see probably why I use the teleport rune, because you need the mobility to dodge spells and whatnot, and you can also use the mobility to get to the rift faster and to get to the next pylon, to get to the next elite pack, whatever. And this is a really great rift. Great maps. So of course this build is not as fast as as a VS Archon, of course, and it can't run that high, but we are using SAGES set on T16, and I feel like compared to Explosive Blast or whatever the build is, this is more fun for me at least. It's faster, but it's actually not that tanky because you cannot use Avrospan, Boon of the Hoarder and Gold Rep. Just does not fit on the build. Yeah, so you will have some toughness issues on T16. Wait, I have a shield pylon, right? I can just face tank. And yeah, that was the T16 Rift on the Tal-Rasha Archon with SAGES set and only 800 Paragon. So as I said, there will be a link in the video description to D3 Planner where you can see the build with optimal rolls. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments or to visit my stream when I'm streaming, lol, and ask some questions, of course. I'm open for suggestions, just put them somewhere so everybody can read them, and let's discuss if this build is actually viable and fast enough. Now there will be some gameplay following with full Paragon on T16, and one of them will be like the fastest rift I've done on this, I think, and the rest of them will just be average clears around like 4 minutes on T16, which is fine, I guess. Could be faster, but it's usable. So yeah, enjoy the gameplay, thank you very much for watching, and see ya, bye!
Not ready yet. Need more time. Still waiting. Not ready. I am so good. I astound myself. Still waiting. Need more time. I don't have enough arcane power. I am unstoppable. Need more time.
The Rift Guardian is here. Embrace your power, and you will survive.
Still waiting. more time. Not ready yet. Need more now. Need more time. Didn't see that coming, did you? Not ready. Still waiting. Didn't see that coming, did you?
Many Nephilim have stood where you are now.
Still waiting. Need more time. Not ready. Need more time. Not ready. If only they could see me now. Still waiting.
Any nothing pursuit where you are not.
Enemies defy all reason.
Not ready yet. Need more time. I'm just warming up. Still waiting. Not ready yet. Your grave awaits. I don't have enough arcane power. Need more time. Your defenses are nothing. Still waiting. Not ready yet. How does that feel? Still waiting. Need more time. I need healing. How does that feel? Still waiting. Need more time. Goodbye. I am so not ready yet. I astound myself. Still waiting. Not ready yet. Didn't see that coming, did you?
The Rift Guardian is here.